Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Welcome. So I am live in Chicago. Made my way today from Utah, Park City, Utah, where my daughter lives. Now I'm in my house in Chicago, getting ready for Pesach. Spend Pesach, been in the same hotel for 28 years. Same family program, not same hotel, same family program. Rabbi Isai, today is the very, very last daf of Sanhedrin, daf Kufit Gimel. It actually ends off with a very, very interesting agadata, gishmak stuff like the whole perek. It's slightly shorter than your regular daf, not that much shorter, but slightly shorter. I want to say shalom to the guys in the Beis Medrash. Every single morning, there's a bunch of guys, I want to say 40, 50 guys that come and watch the shir, and today it's no different. They're gathering together and they're going to be making a siyum in the Beis Medrash. They're going to be washing. They're going to have a sudas mitzvah, a morning breakfast sudas mitzvah. So mazel tov to all the guys in the Beis Medrash. Mazel tov to everybody around the world who's being messiah with us today. A few emails, we're going to get into it because the guys in the Beis Medrash are in a rush. My Rav, Rabbi Yomin Eisenberger, known as the Rav, very, very chashuv Rav, the Rav of Eli Dykman and Yisrael Goldstein and a whole bunch of chevra from Baruch. You could see from the side, he has a very, very long, distinguished beard. Went matzah baking in Shimmy Braun's bakery. Loved the fact that the Olam is working hard and listening to the daf. The Olam over there watches the daf, Shimmy Braun. You could see a little bit of Shimmy Braun all the way. Maybe I could zoom in on here. No, I don't have that ability over here, but you can see all the way on the right under the Rav's hat is Shimmy Braun. When I got to Chicago today, I received this. This is the first thing I received. I didn't even open it up. It's super heavy. Look at this. A giant box of matzah from Borough Park Matzah Bakery. That's exactly where this picture was taken. Yishkoyach Reb Shimmy Braun. Love the matzah. Yishkoyach, some of the perks of giving a shir. Super heavy. I don't know what you put in there. There must be other stuff besides matzah. Maybe the Sfarim. Who knows what he put in there? Here. You know what he gave me last year? If you buy matzah at the bakery, you could get baby matzahs for kids. It's very, very cool. Oh, maybe this is upside down. I don't want to. It's supposed to be like that. Okay, you see? It says Pesach. And it's 3 stories. You put these little tiny baby matzahs for kids. So when you have little kids, they can make their own little say. It's cool. He sends it to me every year. This little Shkoyach Godel Ma'id. And I want to show you his professional dough maker. This is the covered Pesach to get in the mood. Watch this, under 10 seconds, making dough.
Less than 10 seconds.
Wow. You get to be that good if you watch the shir. So not everybody here. He's not the only one to watch the shir. You could see up there, he has a little device for his phone. There's another. Oh, before I get to the other picture, I'll show you. The wives of MDY put together a cookbook. Unbelievable. Nisanel's wife is a big, big part of it. And unfortunately, because of the fire and everything, I don't know how she's doing this or she's not doing it. I have no idea. But I know she was a huge part of the get together. So the women got together and they decided to put together their best recipes for Pesach. It's available now. Cool. Very, very chashuv. The idea is to get the women involved and be part of the daf and then encourage their husbands and their children. Yaakov Zaret, I did it. Status updated. Ads to join posted. Trying to say thank you by going out of my comfort zone. Yes, a lot of people, it's going out of the comfort zone, putting something on your status. But you get another yid to join, another yid to learn Torah. Tomorrow we're starting Masechtas Makis. Here we got the Menukad, the regular version, the MDY version, but it's the very, very first Art Scroll Menukad. Join the shir, and you'll get one of those. Looking forward to seeing you getting back. Staying strong. Yaakov Zaret. Shoshana Daf Beis. Givaldik. This tzaddik is from Borough Park. We're not going to get into it, but basically, after Chaim Knesset's nifter, he took upon himself to learn 8 daf a day just by reading. Because he saw somewhere that reading it, this is the 3rd time he's doing it, but then he wanted to understand it better, so he went to our shir, and he's part of it since the beginning of Sanhedrin. He became addicted to it. Makarti lashiu. He's from Borough Park. He's writing to me in Hebrew. He says he watches his shir twice, once in Hebrew, once in English. Ashrecha, that you left the world, this world, the olam hazeh, v'ikdash chayecha l'klal Yisrael, yishkoyach, Hashem should give you blessing, da. It says, his bracha is that you should get to 100 like 20. Meya ke'esrim. When you're 100, you should be like you're 20 years old. Avi Shafer, and he says he loves the bracha of Reb Chaim Kanievsky, Bua, that he made a license plate. Bua, here it is. The license plate. Was noch? Let's see if we have any other geschmacka ones. I put a bunch of them, but we have to start the share. Please remove my name if you shared this email. This morning was cold, 38 degrees in Muncie and rainy. When my alarm went off at 6:30 a.m., it most definitely was not easy, understatement, but I remember what you said in share and threw off the covers and said, I accept these Yisurim Behava. So he took 2 things from the share, actually, 2 different days. First of all, I said that you could use, everybody gets allotted a certain amount of Yisurim, and you could use your Yisurim for Torah versus a disease. So if somebody could get a disease, instead you take those Yisurim and you say, okay, it's going to be hard for me to learn now because I want to be under the covers, and those are Yisurim. But when you receive Yisurim, the Rebbeinu Yonah says you should say Yisurim Shalahava. I'm taking this with love, and that makes it work. So he did 2 things over here. Instead of hitting snooze, I got to Shachris for Birkas HaShachar, a rarity. Thank you for your shir and for changing our lives. Why don't you allow me to use your email address? When I say like this, when you put your name in there, it's that much stronger. It has much more power. It's more mechazik people. So in the future, let me say your name. Noam Levi Kurtz. I started learning Daf Yomi in the beginning of this year when the Daf program started in my school. My grandfather, David Bernstein, heard I was learning Daf Yomi and thought he couldn't have his grandson learning Daf Yomi and him not. Though he couldn't find a good shir. One was too long, the other too quick, until he found your amazing shir. Since then, he's been watching it every day and it really changed his life. Grandson is saying about his grandfather changed his life. On Wednesday will be his first siyum, his grandfather's first siyum. Mazel tov, David Bernstein, Mazel tov. On Wednesday will be his first siyum just after his birthday. Thank you very much for hooking my grandfather onto Daf Yomi. It would be amazing if you could wish him on tomorrow's shir a happy birthday to David Bernstein and Mazel tov to him and all other Daf Yomi Masmidim and Mazel tov on the siyum of Sanhedrin. I probably will forget to wish him a Mazel tov, so I'm wishing him now. Happy birthday, David, and Mazel tov. It's very exciting. Maybe send in a picture or 2 of you making your first siyum will be a big chizuk for the klal over here. Dear Belly, Baruch Hashem, after a long effort, I got my chabura to hear the shir every day. Usher Goldstein, I'm not exactly sure what that means, but it's gewaldic. The whole chabura is listening to the shir every day. Okay. I'll just put this on the screen because I don't know if I'll remember to put it on tomorrow. He's a big minion person, and he also, this is the first time I think, thanks to Chaim Snow, he's been 110 days straight, and the day starts off so much better now. Crazy as a story. My son became a chassan. Since my wife and I really have extra kedusha permanent in our home. So now it's his English and Hebrew birthday on the same day. So he's giving a bracha. The Lubavitcher Rebbe said that on your birthday you are empowered to give brachas, and I want to give you a bracha that you should continue good health and happiness to be a beacon of light to Klal Yisrael. May you and your family have a kosher Freilich and Pesach, and will be brought back to Yerushalayim, a campaign of Sharm, to the third base Hamikdash speedily now. Regards, Feivel. On Zoom, he's famous. On Zoom, his name is Philip. Looking forward to you next visit to MDY Live. Philip Krinken, accountant, Shkoyach. He lives in Eretz Yisrael somewhere. I forgot where it is. Okay. Rabbi Isai, let's jump into it. Oh, but I have to do I forgot to show this one. Here's a guy, also, Chassid Shingeman, watching the shir while he's putting together some the products in the store. In Antwerpen. in Antwerp. Gewaldig. I hope the boss lets you watch while you're working. That's you need reshus for that, right? Okay, I don't know what this is. We'll have to do this a different day. Taking notes. Oh, this person takes notes every day. It's very important also. I tried this barcode and it works. He has takeaway from the share every day. He has over 100 people. Join it. It's geschmack. So daily join over to 100 members. Rebelli's observations from the Daf. WhatsApp. Here it is. Givaldi. The Masechta is sponsored lirfo Shmuel Ben Chaim, Ettel, Yosef, Shmuel Ben Alte Nechama by the grateful family. Anonymous. For that's all Baruch. This is begashmiyos Cohn in memory of Yechiel Moshe Ben Chaim, who started learning Daf Yomi at age 70 and continued for 32 years. Rabbi, let me say this again because these are the final days for these people unless they went to the next Masechta. So let's say it nice and slow. The Masechta sponsor, Yishkoich to all the Masechta sponsors, $9,000 each. Lirfo Shmuel Ben Chana, Ettel, and Yosef Chaim Shmuel Ben Alte Nechama by the grateful family. Refuah Shlema. Anonymous for Hatzlacha B'Parnasa ובגשמיות. Larry Cohn, in memory of Yechiel Moshe Ben Chaim, who started learning Daf Yomi at age 70 and continued for 32 years until he was nifter at 102. Unbelievable. Anonymous for the unity of the Jewish people. Glenn Esterson. Glenn, I'm going to miss this. With love and gratitude from Wilmington, North Carolina. Thank you for enriching my life with Torah. Give chizuk to everybody when you hear that. There's somebody in North Carolina learning the Daf with us every day. Monthly sponsors ActualEyes and Hatzlacha B'Parnasa and Birevach for Baruch, Tzvi, Nissim, and Shoshana, Leah. The Kollel sponsor of the month. Thank you to Reb Eli's wife and kids for the great sacrifice they make, allowing to spread Torah to the masses. Daily sponsors of Rumi Libowes, the famous Avrumi, the first chussid from Birevach that joined our shir way before brachas. What did he say it was? The Tmura or something. Leah Nishmas, my father, Reb Yisrael, ben Reb Yitzchok on his 10th yahrzeit today. Yaakov Shipper, Leah Nishmas Malko Bas Avrom Yitzchok on her first yahrzeit yesterday. Mark Henfling, Leah Nishmas Tzvi ben Mordechai, a Holocaust survivor who rebuilt a family dedicated to Yahadus. MDY Kids Monthly, Kinnovations, Chuz for official Chana Akiva, Rifki, and Mrs. Stefansky. Art of the Month, Refuah Shlema. For Yonatan Eitan Ben Basheva Bracha Amen. For Chuz for ability to make the whole MDY staff to continue, and the whole MDY staff to continue to make Torah so enjoyable so many. And in honor of Yossi Klein and Mark Ashkenazi for all the work they do. Boy Sai, 13 minutes in, Nair volume. Okay. Let's get going here. We're holding 22 lines from the bottom. Be'ez Hashem, we're going to get to some Geshmak Agad, to Leo Anovi, cool things. We're holding Trumas Yerakvu. We're talking about Ir Hanidachas. It's a city where the majority of the people worship Avodah Zarah, and they all get killed with a sword. We saw yesterday a sheet that says that first you kill them the regular way that you kill an individual that worships Avodah Zarah, that is Beskila. And then when you get to the majority of the city, then you start from that point on. Another thing that happens in the city is that all their belongings burn. However, if the belongings are Kadosh, they're Hegdish, they're Meiser Sheni, Truma, different things, they're not burned. So we saw in the Mishnah, Truma is Yerakvu. If you have produce, let's say you have a farm or you have a tree, let's call it a tree, and you have a vineyard, you have grapes. So 10% of the grapes go to the Levi, about 2% go to the Kohen. That's called Truma, the 2% that goes to the Kohen. What does the Kohen do? Well, we explained in the Mishnah that it's the Kohen that already received it. Let's see the Gemara. But whatever it is, that 2%, you don't burn. It's not appropriate to burn something that has Kedusha to it. You can't eat it either. So what do? You let it spoil. Truma biyad Yisro. That's when the Truma is still in the possession of the guy that owns the vineyard. Truma biyad Kohen, once he already gave it to the Kohen, gave it to Mamaynu Tisarif. If the Kohen is part of the Ir Hanidachas, the city, so just like all his other belongings, it must be burnt. Ask the Gemara, Maser Rav Yosef. In other words, it's not, you don't let it spoil, you have to burn it. The Gemara doesn't like it. Maser Rav Yosef. Meiser Sheni v'kisvei hakodesh yiganezu. So we saw Meiser Sheni yesterday, the day before. We're not going to show it again. Meiser Sheni is another 10% that comes off the entire produce that goes to yourself. That's 10% that you must eat in Yerushalayim. V'kisvei hakodesh, and if you have, let's say, a Megillah, you have a Sefer Torah, they have to be buried. Yiganezu. The Meiser Sheni has to be buried, and the Kisvei hakodesh. As the Gemara, according to what you're telling me, about Meiser Sheni b'yad Yisrael k'truma b'yad Kohen dami. When you give truma to a Kohen, the Kohen can eat the truma. It says, Meiser Sheni is yours. So what's the difference between you and the Kohen? You told me that if it's in the Kohen's hand already, you have to burn it. So why is the Meiser Sheni that's yours? It's the same, has the same kind of kedusha like truma. Meiser Sheni says you bury it. So the Kohen should also bury his truma. Ella yitmar, you're right. Let's change it around. Omar of Chizdan, that's the pshat that we said in the Mishnah. When do you let it spoil? When it already went to the hand of the Kohen? If the owner didn't have a chance to give it to the Kohen yet, give it to some other Kohen in another city. Tanan Hasam. Says Rashi, this is not a Mishnah. Tanan throughout Shas means a Mishnah. Occasionally, we find that Tanan means a Brisa. So this is one of those situations where there's no such Mishnah, you can't find it anywhere, so it must be a Brisa. Tanan Hasam. Isa shal Meiser Sheni p'turim min achala. If you have dough that's part of the Meiser Sheni, your 10% that you're supposed to bring to Yerushalayim, you don't have to take an additional challah, which is like truma to the Kohen. Why? Because it has kedusha. It's kadosh divrei meir. Chacham say you must give challah from your Meiser Sheni, and that's the halacha. By the way, today there's a few organizations, but the original organization is called Keren HaMeisros in Eretz Yisrael. That if you want to give your truma, your meiser, you don't know what you're doing, so you become a member of this organization, and they have all these coins set aside, and you can give them Meiser Sheni. You say, okay, this fruit that I have, the Meiser Sheni should be done through my organization called Keren HaMeisros. They have the right coins, they do the right thing, they destroy it. They know what they're doing. I certainly don't know what I'm doing. I'm not part of that organization, so I should be. I just remember when I was a kid, my father always used to take extra meisers from everything. He wasn't sure if the guy did it or not, and he had the whole thing, the whole chazanish. I don't think I've ever done it. I'm sorry, I'm one of those American guys that has no clue. It takes a long time to shmita, this, that. You just, okay, you buy from a company, they do it for you, okay. But there's a story that a guy comes to Reb Chaim Kanievsky, and he says, I have this and this issue. So Reb Chaim Kanievsky told him, you're not makbid on Trumas and Meisers, which reminds me that our neighbor that didn't have children for 22 years, his brother also didn't have children for 12 years. He went to Reb Chaim Kanievsky, and Reb Chaim Kanievsky says, you don't take Trumas and Meisers. He says, I do. And then he found out that the store that he buys all his fruit from lied. They never took Trumas and Meisers. But anyway, so this guy goes to Reb Chaim Kanievsky, and Reb Chaim Kanievsky says, you're not taking Trumas and Meisers. He says, yeah, I do. I take from Keren HaMeisros. I use this organization. But then he found out that Keren HaMeisros doesn't allow two people to use the same account. He was using his father's account. And they say specifically, yeah, everybody has to have their own account. So once he changed his account, 9 months later, everything calmed down and everything was gewaldig. Omar of Chizda. Machlokes b'Meiser Sheni b'Yerushalayim. The Remei Savar Meiser Sheni Mam Gavoyahu. Says Rav Chizda, the whole machlokes between Remei and Chachamim, whether or not this dough, you have to take challah from dough of Meiser Sheni, is the question is if it's in Yerushalayim or not. If it's in Yerushalayim. The Remei Savar Meiser Sheni Mam Gavoyahu, because Remei holds, since Meiser Sheni is considered, you're allowed to eat it, but it's considered holy mammon. It's okay, I don't have the word now. It belongs to Rabbanan Shleilam. Rabbanan say no, it's regular property. Mammon property. Okay, that's the word I was looking for. It's hegdish property, or is it private property? So if it's private property, you have to take a challah from it. Say chacham. Aval begvulin divrei hakol potter. So let's remember these words. But if it's outside of Yerushalayim, everybody agrees you don't have to take challah. Why? Because then it is definitely property of HaKadosh Baruch Hu until you bring it to Yerushalayim when you're allowed to eat it. The Gemara is going to ask a question on this because you're saying divrei hakol potter. According to everybody, if this Meiser Sheni is outside of Yerushalayim, it's considered Rebbeinu Shalom's property, and therefore you don't take Truma on Rebbeinu Shalom's property. Basar of Yosef, Meiser Sheni v'kisvei hakodesh yigonezu. In our Mishnah we said that if you have Meiser Sheni in Irani Dachas, you have to bury it. But what are we talking about? Eli Yerushalayim, the Irani Dachas is in Yerushalayim. You have an Irani Dachas. Yerushalayim can never be Irani Dachas. There's 10 things that were said about Yerushalayim. This is one of the rules. Yerushalayim can never become a Irani Dachas. So therefore, the case cannot be inside Yerushalayim. Ve'elo biracheres. So you must say that it's outside of Yerushalayim. Let's say it's Bet Shemesh. Vasku legavo. And they took the Meiser Sheni and they brought it into Yerushalayim. That's the Gemara called Tuah Mechitzos. But if you bring Meiser Sheni into Yerushalayim, then the walls surrounding Yerushalayim, they grab it. Elalav bigvulin. So you have to say that it's not inside Yerushalayim; it's outside of Yerushalayim. V'katari yigonezu. Now it says mefurish that you have to bury it. Rav Chizah said that outside of Yerushalayim, according to everybody, you potter. It says Gemara loy. We're talking about another city. And they brought it into Yerushalayim. We're talking about Meiser Sheni that, let's say, touched a rat, touched something tamei, touched a person that died or something, or a person that went to Levi. So you can't eat it. So since you can't eat it, that's why you have to bury it. Ask the Gemara, I understand. Why don't you just redeem it? Rav Elazar says, talking about regarding our case, you have Meiser Sheni that became Tamei. You could redeem it. Typically speaking, when we read the pasuk it says that it means seisai would mean to carry it. So if you have too much Meiser Sheni, you can't carry it; it's too heavy. So you trade it in for money. But he learns means you can't eat it. Bring your raya that masis over here means to eat it. And the Torah says if you can't eat it, why can't you eat it? Because it's tamei. What do? You redeem it. The last words on Amud Beis. We're talking about a situation where he took the money of Meiser Sheni. He had a bunch of fruit. He had 400 pounds of grapes. He couldn't schlep 400 pounds of grapes to Yerushalayim. So what did he do? He redeemed them for cash. He took the cash, he went all the way up to Yerushalayim. In Yerushalayim with the $400, he sat down at a restaurant and he had a great meal. And then that meal became tamei. Asked the Gemara, on top. So what if he bought something with money? Meiser Sheni money. Let him redeem that food. This now, because we learned in a Mishnah, halikuach bekesef meiser. If somebody buys something with Meiser money, with Meiser Sheni money, Shinitman, then it became tamei. You pause that, it's mafurish, you can redeem it. Says Gemara, the answer is Rabbi Yehuda don't make cover, because there's a shita, the shita of Rabbi Yehuda that says you don't redeem it, you bury it, and that's why by us we say Yiganes, you bury it. Yihache, my ear dachas. Then why are we saying this halacha by ear? What are you telling me? If you have Meiser Sheni food that became tamei, you should bury it. But it has nothing to do with Irani Dachas. Any Meiser Sheni food that became tamei, you should bury it. That's what Rabbi Yehuda says. Oh, so now we have to go back. We're talking about the food is tar, it's not tamei. You took your Meiser Sheni into Yerushalayim, and all the walls after you came in toppled down. Likloi de Rabbanon, mechitzas of Yerushalayim are deraisa, but that they have the ability to grab onto your food, to be koiled it, to make it theirs, that's the Rabbanon. That's only, Rabbanon only said their halacha when the mechitzas exist. Since after you came in with your fruit, the mechitzas fell down, okay. Says the Gemara. Now we're starting a lighter sugya. If somebody has a Sefer Torah in the Ir Hanidachas, you don't burn a Sefer Torah, you bury it. Says Gemara, this isn't like Rebbe Eliezer. This doesn't go according to Rebbe Eliezer. The Rebbe Eliezer Omer Kol Ir Sheishba Afilu Mezuzah Achas in Anasas Ir Hanidachas. Rebbe Eliezer holds that if a city has one mezuzah in it, these people were so far from Yiddishkeit, they were so into the Avodah Zarah that they didn't have anything on the door. They didn't have any mezuzahs, because if a person had one mezuzah in the city, it would save the whole city. Forget about tefillin. Nobody had tefillin there. Nobody had Sefer Torah. Nobody had Sfarim. Nobody had Daf Yomi. If they had a mezuzah, I told you I've been in some of my buildings in far out places where you cannot believe there's not a single Jew. You think there's no Jews. All of a sudden you see a little mezuzah on the door. Mezuzah, yeah. Tefillin, I doubt it. It says in the Torah you have to burn everything all the way to the bottom. But if there's a mezuzah, how are you going to burn it all? You're not allowed to burn it. So our Mishnah cannot be according to Rebbe Eliezer, because according to Rebbe Eliezer, you wouldn't burn the city. It would save the whole city if there's a Sefer Torah. The fact that you're burying the Sefer Torah means that we don't go like Rebbe Eliezer. Says the Gemara, Rosh Hashanah, we have a machlokes in the Mishnah whether once you burn the city down, what can you do with the land? According to Rebbe Kiva, you could put a park, you can make a garden, an orchard. The only thing you can't do is build real estate over there. According to Rebbe Gamliel, you can't do anything. You can't even build a garden. According to Rebbe Shimon, says Gemara, perhaps the machlokes is in Rebbe. The what? So let me just tell you this, so that I don't want anybody to have the trauma here, because the yeshiva, once he heard the word klal uprat, you go shlufi. It's a sign that now is a time to go to sleep for 4 minutes. It's a very short sugya, it's only 2-3 minutes, and it's very, very simple. It says at the end of the pasuk, v'hoisa teil olam, the Ir Hanidachas, after you burn it, it should be a mound forever. That's a klal. It's a generalization. It doesn't say what you can't and what you shouldn't and what. It should be a mound. And then it says prat. It says something very specific. Loi sibana oid. Don't build. Okay? Don't build. So Rebbe says, Kol mokim shata moitze klal ba'asei. The first part is v'hoisa, it shall be. The second part is lo sibana, it should not be built. So one is a asay, it's a you should do, you should make it a mound forever. And the other one is do not build. So you have a klal, but it's an asay, and a prat, which is a lois asay. So it's very clear on this little chart, and that's the whole sugya. And don't noise it klal prat. You cannot use the rules of klal prat. And the rules of the klal prat would tell us that in other words, that the whole klal is referring to the prat, which is don't build. It's the building part. Only one guy on Zoom today. Unbelievable. On YouTube. Okay? This is late in New York, or maybe nobody knew. Says the Gemara. So that's the machlokes. Do we hold like a Rebbe? We don't hold like a Rebbe. If we don't hold like a Rebbe, we can build a garden there. The Mar is the Rebbe, Mar less the Rebbe. Lo, the Kulan Almi is the Rebbe. Everybody holds a Rebbe. That this is not considered a klal prat. Why? Because there's an asay and a lois asay. It's another machlokes. Mar saba oid ligamri mash. Look at the end of the pasuk. It says all the Torah had to say is loisibana. Don't build anything on it. What is loisibana oid? The word oid. Oid means more, usually, right? So Mar Savar Oid Ligamri Mashma. So what man holds, Shimon holds, it means complete. Oid means loisibana completely. You can't even put a garden on there. Umar sover oid likama shahoisa. It just means you cannot repeat what we had there before. So before we had houses and buildings on there. So now you shouldn't rebuild it. The real estate part you shouldn't rebuild, but you could build a garden. Next sugya. You don't build it according to this man, but you can make it according to Rabbi Kiva. You can make it gardens and orchards. If it had trees that were detached from the ground, you're not allowed to use them. But if they're attached, that's mutter. Why? We had yesterday, if a woman has hair, so she doesn't have to cut her hair and burn the hair in Ir Nidach, as in we had a whole sugi about a shaitel, and I mentioned my wife's good friend, and of course somebody sent her the clips. I got into a little trouble, but she said a great line. She said, I spoke to her, she said, I'm so into people learning the daf that I'm willing to uncover my hair so that more people should learn the daf. She was joking, but that's what she said. She said she's completely okay with what I said. But anyway, those who heard. I was just saying that I brought this sugya as a right. They have to cover her hair, your hair, and that was part of my argument to her and other arguments. But anyway, Tana Rabbanan. Therefore, if a tree from the same svara that we had yesterday about hair, what was the svara? Why don't you have to cut your hair and burn it? Because the Torah says, gather and burn. It's 2 steps, to gather and burn, not 3 steps. If you had to cut your hair, it would be 3 steps. Cut your hair, gather and burn. Same thing with the tree. That would be 3 steps. Cut the tree down, gather it, and to bring it to the center of the city, the center of the city, and burn. And memela, a tree that's attached to the ground is mutter to eat from. Shalir acheres, if it's from another city, even if it's attached, it's also. As the Gemara, ma'ir acheres. What does it mean, another city? And this throws us into the sugya of Yericha, a little bit of a gadta. The famous Yericha, what happened there? So we have a nice depiction that Yoshi did today. So they went around the city. Here's the Aron. It's interesting. One guy's not even moving. He's stationary, and the Aron is moving. The other guy's okay. Here's the Aron with Luchas. And now, basically, what happens is the walls, miraculously, they didn't crumble down. They went into the ground. You could see it till today, I think. Well, not that we could see it today, but that's where it is. It's like that. Says the Gemara, it should be a cherem. So the entire city is a cherem, and when anything is a cherem, that means you can't use the trees as well. So now we're talking about Yerichai. So and here it goes the Agadata until the end of the Masechta. So Yeshua, who's leading Klal Yisrael at the time, said, cursed is the person in front of Hashem. If anybody tries to rebuild the city, he'll be cursed. What will happen to him? Terrible thing. When he puts the, what is it called when you do the cornerstone? You lay the first stone, then his oldest son will die, and the rest of his children will die. And when he finishes the city, when he puts the final door on the city, then his last son will die. That's the curse. Tanya, and we learned, do not try to build another city on Yerichai and call it a different name. And don't try to build, let's say, Bet Shemesh and call it Yerichai. You cannot use the name anywhere ever, and you cannot rebuild Yerichai and call it Yerushalayim. You're rebuilding Yericho. Now, the second part is not so pashut. Not everybody knew this. That what? That you cannot build a new city, and instead of calling it Bet Shemesh, you call it Yericho. That you're not allowed to do either, and you have the same curse of Yeshua. The Chsiv, Bono Yechiel. Now, the Gemara tells us the story with Yechiel. Yechiel did build a city. Rashi says it was somewhere else, not in Yericho, somewhere else, and he called it Yericho. Rashi just says, I don't know how we know this, but that's how it is. Beis Ha'eli. Ha'eli is a curse. That's the name, his name. He's cursed. Es Yericho. He built a place called Yericho. What happened? Ba'aviram b'chayra yizda. When he put the first foundations, his oldest son by the name of Aviram, kaput, died. Ubezguv tziroi. And his youngest son, Tziroi, hitziv losel. When he put on the doors, exactly like Yeshua said, he died. Tanya, b'avim b'chayra rasha lo'hay lo'limoid. So the Gemara says, unfortunately for Yechiel, he didn't have to understand that when his first son died, his oldest son, the Bechor, died, he was a rasha, that son. So why did he die? He died because he's a rasha. His Aviram was driving in a car, he had a car accident and died. So his father thought, he probably died. Not because I built a city called Yericho. He didn't put one and one together. He said, he died because he's a rasha. However, Bizguv Tziroi, when he sees that his second son dies, then he should have chaved. Wait a minute, I made a mistake here. That curse that Yeshua said on Yericho applies also to some place outside of Yericho, just calling it Yericho. Says Gemara, Aviram was good my alvod. Why is Aviram such a rasha? Hachika Amar. No. Very interesting. Now we're changing the language completely. Hachika. Aviram b'chayroi hoya loy lilmoid. Yechiel, who is the rasha? Not Aviram was the rasha. The father was a rasha. Ba'aviram b'chayroi hoya loy lilmoid lo'isei rasha. The rasha by the name of Yechiel should have learned Bizguv Tziroi. He should have realized when Aviram died what's going to happen to his son Zguv if he doesn't stop building the city. Says Gemara, if he had two children, so Aviram is the Bechor. So what's Zguv? Zguv is not the Bechor, he's the youngest. So then why does the pasuk have to say it? And Yidesh Zguv Tziroi, so of course Zguv is the younger one. If Aviram is the older one, so Zguv is the younger one. Matalam is Zguv Tziroi. So Gemara says very simple. You probably made the calculation yourself. Obviously, he had more children. So the Torah is telling us Aviram is the oldest, Zguv is the youngest, and he had who knows how many children in between, and they kept on dying one after another, boom, boom, boom. And he didn't chap, that's because he built a city called Yericho. Says the Gemara, basically the Gemara has a problem here. Why do we jump in? We're talking about, the pasuk talks about Yechiel, and all of a sudden it jumps in Milachim, jumps to the whole story of Eliyahu Hanavi. What does that have to do with Yechiel? The Gemara says the connection. Right, the following pasuk says, now we go, the whole story. Says the Gemara this story. Achav sheshvinu hava. Achav, the famous king Achav, the rasha, who put Avodah Zarah everywhere in Eretz Yisrael, was very good friends with Yechiel. The one we just discussed, that he built a city by the name of Yericho. Not in Yericho, outside of Yericho. Also, Iyu ve'Eliyahu le'mishal b'shlomo be'tamyo. So Achav, the king, and Eliyahu Hanavi come to be Menachem Aval Yechiel when he lost his sons. Yosef Amar, so Achav starts saying, Dilma ki melat Yeshua hachilat. Achav is not an idiot. He chapped. He says, maybe the reason why your sons are dying is because you built a city by the name of Yericho. The curse wasn't that you should rebuild Yericho. The curse was also, in addition to that, don't build another city with the same name. Lo Yericho Hashem Yeracheres, v'lo Yeracheres Hashem Yericho. Omar le'Eliyahu. So Eliyahu was sitting there and he says, you're 100% right. That's why his kids died. Omar le. So Achav got upset at Eliyahu Hanavi and he says, love to sell the Moshe Leikam. It's interesting. I heard this taina from people in our generation. I heard from non-religious people. They asked me this question. He asks, we say in Kriya Shema every single day, if you're going to do Avodah Zarah, then Hashem is not going to give you rain. I put Avodah Zarah, he's boasting. I put Avodah Zarah in every furrow in every farm. As the bull is pulling the plow, they're going towards the Avodah Zarah. We get to the end, you bow to the end, and then you turn around, you go to the next, another furrow, and you go to the other side, and you see another Avodah Zarah. There's so much rain in Eretz Yisrael that it prevents us from bowing down to the Avodah Zarah. That's how much rain we have. The opposite of the curse that the Torah says. The Torah says if you're going to do Avodah Zarah, you're not going to have rain. Look how much rain we have. It's an expression. There's so much rain that my boots get stuck in the mud from the rain. I can't even do Avodah Zarah. That's the curse of Moshe Rabbeinu. Would you think the curse of a student Yeshua is going to be Mekuyim? You think that's why Yechiel's sons died? That's immediately when Eliyahu Hanavi became furious with Achav. Interesting, yeah, because we're going to be by the Seder now, just in a few days. And we're going to invite Eliyahu Hanavi. What do we say? Somebody asked Rabbi Victor Miller, why do you say Shvoy Chamascha? You're inviting Eliyahu Hanavi. You should say, Bruchim Abayim. Oh, it's so great to see you. What's Shvoy Chamascha? You should take revenge on our enemies. So he said, it's like a kid, when a father comes home late from work, what's the first thing some of the kids say when the father walks through the door? Tati, Tati, Chaim Yankel, he hit me. Punish him, punish him. They don't say, hi, Tati. They say, punish him. That's Shvoy Chamascha Legoyim. You're so excited to say Eliyahu Hanavi. He says, hey, take care of those guys in Gaza. Take care of Iran. Oh, Shalom Aleichem. Instead of saying Shalom Aleichem, you let out all your tzaras and you say, please. I want to say it over here. Maybe I'll say it now. I don't want to give away any of the secrets, but I had a thought. It would be cool if they went into Iran without bombing them. They just lower the commandos in there, go into those nuclear facilities and blow it up from within inside. Surprise them. Have a little mini war, destroy it, all that. By foot. You schmack. You heard it here first. Says the Gemara. We continue with this Gewaldiges Meis over here. So Eliyahu Hanavi is very upset. And he says, Chai Hashem Elikei Yisrael imiyeh talu matar. He's stopping the rain. Boirachmei v'hovolei aklida demitro. Eliyahu Hanavi davened until HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave him the key. He's in charge of the rain to the point where HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kaviyachal doesn't have the power anymore. It's all in the hands of Eliyahu Hanavi. V'kam v'azal. He got up and he left and he cursed them. There's not going to be rain anymore. V'yidvar Hashem Elav Leimar. Now there's no rain for a very long time. And Hashem wants it to be rain, but he doesn't have the key. Eliyahu Hanavi has the key. He says, you have to get up and you have to go, you have to hide in Chris. And the ravens, Eliyahu Hanavi is being fed by the ravens. Where do the ravens get bread and meat? Omer Rav Yudah Omer Rav, says Rav, from the kitchens of the king Achav. So the Gemara in Chulin tells us that Achav was a Rasha. He was a mummer. How can you eat meat from the kitchen of Achav? Doesn't have a good hechsher. The Gemara in Chulin says it was a Rasha. HaKadosh Baruch said, you eat it. You could eat it. We can learn from here that you could use the hechsher of a mummer. Let's just see this beautiful depiction. Here's Achav the king. It's getting better and better. The raven is really, really lifelike. He took the meat right out of Achav's plate. Wow, the meat even grew from picture to picture. And he gives it to Eliyahu Hanavi. So the Arizal says that we know that Shevet Shimon, they really bothered Eliyahu Hanavi when he went to Pinchas. When Pinchas went to kill Zimri, Shevet Shimon were the ones that really bothered him, and he lost consciousness. So the Arizal says, he holds that these ravens that fed Eliyahu Hanavi are the Gilgal. They had to be Galgal in a raven, the Gilgal of Shimon. Shimon, different people from the Shevet became ravens, and they went to be Mechaya, Mida connected Mida, to be Mechaya, Eliyahu Hanavi, who's Pinchas, Bechulu. Says Gemara, Vayimiketz Yomim, Vayiv Hashanochal. Oh, did I skip this? No. So Hashem wants to rain, and Eliyahu Hanavi says no. So Hashem made all sorts of things happen. One of them was that the river dried up. There's no rain, so the river dried up. There's a lot of pain in the world. Go, get up and go to the Tzarfata. So he went to this woman. He went to her house. And so now he owes this woman because she took care of him. The child dies. Now he wants to do Tchis HaMesim because he owes this woman. He begged for the key for Tchis HaMesim. Omar there are three keys that we don't give to a human being. Shel Chaya, for childbirth, Shel Kshamim, rain, Shel Tchis HaMesim, and to make the dead come back to life. What, I'm going to give you the key for rain and the key for Tchis HaMesim. You're going to have two. You're the Talmud, I'm the Rav, I'm the Rebbe, I only have one. I see how v'shakol hay. So Eliyahu Hanavi gave back the key for the rain, and he took the key for Tchis HaMesim. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave the rain. From that point on, it was HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So this Glila, the guy from Kollel, said in front of Rav Chizda, Moshel the Leo, the David Doima. This is similar. The Gabra, the Tarki Legali, person who locks the gate. You know, like sometimes you lock your car door and you don't have keys to get in, and you have to call Chaverim. Eliyahu Hanavi closed the door on the rain, but now he didn't have the power to bring the rain back because he gave the key away. You need to come on to HaKadosh Baruch Hu to bring the rain. That's why it says, Ve'et no matar, I Hashem, I'm going to give the rain. Darsh Rabbi Yosef Tzipari, Rabbi Yosef Darshan Tzipari. Abba Eliyahu, Daf Kuf Yud Gimel Amud Beis. I'm going to miss you, Sanhedrin. He darshaned in yeshiva that Eliyahu, Abba Eliyahu, my father Eliyahu, Kapton. He's a person who's very strict. When you do something, he gets upset immediately and he takes care of business right away. Achav said something about not raining and the curse, so he right away stopped the rain. He's a captain. The morale says a terrible thing, terrible. When I saw this, I didn't like it so much, but it explains a lot. He says, just like a kohen, kohanim are kabdanim, a kohen by nature is a kabdan. Not all, I mean, I know some kohanim that are, but you know, like they say, gingies are like this, so kohanim are like that. He says, everybody with the name Eliyahu is a kabdan. That explains a lot about me. Stop making noise. This, you know what I mean? Captain. Yeah. There's truth to it when it comes to me. I don't know about other Elios. Turning of the daf. Nissim, Adar Global, one-stop shop for all your financial needs. Kidnovations LLC, in honor of our sons, Kalmo, 12 years old, Yisrael, 9 years old. To learning Sanhedrin with Reb Eli. In honor of Adar Global and Innovations. Mark, did you get the inside scoop? Who put this in? In honor of Adar Global Innovations, true role models of how to support the Daf and learning. It's true. Innovations constantly. Maybe it's you, Mark.
I've been sworn to secrecy.
Yourself?
Can't confirm or deny, but I'll deny.
In honor of Adar Global Innovations, true role models of how to support the Daf and learning, which is very true. Both have given a lot this year. Adar Global, they did a tremendous thing for the Shabbaton, and for the kids are a whole bunch of big ones. Innovations constantly doing turning of the daf and different things and Givaldik. So Yishkoyach Gadol Ma'od. We are mamish on the tail end of this Masechta, long Masechta, 112 days. Here it is, Rabbi Isai. Says Gemara V'Rogel. I'm choking up a little bit. Have a Rogel L'Meisi Gabei. Eliyahu Hanavi would come every day and learn Torah with Rav Yosef. Ikasi minei tlosi yoyim v'leyasa. Because Rav Yosef called him a captain, it's not a nice thing to say. Eliyahu Hanavi didn't believe it's true, so he didn't come for 3 days. Kiyasa, after 3 days, he shows up to learn Torah with Rav Yosef, to teach him Torah. Rabbi Yossi, not Rabbi Yosef. Why didn't you show up for 3 days? Captain Kurasli. You called me captain. I'm upset at you. You just proved my point. Yeah, I called you a captain. Look at you. I call you a captain. You don't show up for 3 days. It's Givaldik. He had a relationship with Eliyahu Navi. You could call. Here's a live example of you being a captain. I called you a little name. That's why you have to punish me right on the spot. One more little piece. Actually, we'll just do this. As long as there's Shama in the world, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has anger. Man Rishayim, what's a Rasha? It's obviously not referring to the people of Ir Nidachas. Omer of Yosef Ganavim. Ganavim. As long as there's Ganavim in the world, there's Charoin Af in the world. Rabbi Isai. The rest, you'll make a siyum in Shul, Erev Pesach. It was an unbelievable journey. Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov. Rabbi Isai. Have a wonderful day.